Hello there. Carrot Crazy Part 4, Cute Carrot Easter DIYs. Today's the last installment, which didn't plan on being 4 installments, but I kind of made too many, so. Part 4, Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots. Let's jump into our craft room. All right, our first project for this video is going to be with these cute little wood hanging decor pieces from Crafter Square, which is Dollar Tree. They're little hearts. These are pretty much a staple at Dollar Tree. You've seen them many, many times. We're going to turn them into carrots. And I'm going to use my favorite wood tent here, color walnut. I get it on Amazon. Now, I lost the footage of me actually staining it, but I just used a paper towel, put it on the back and the sides. The top, we're going to use this cute scrapbook paper here. Now, this is very ancient scrapbook paper I have had from Michael's from the dawn of time. I really honestly couldn't tell you how long I've had it, but I just picked something where I can use both sides. It works to my advantage, so I'm going to just line our hearts up on one side. I'm going to cut out a square big enough for both hearts, and I almost messed this up. I'll show you in a second because I cut one a little bit too big. So pay attention to the amount of space I put between the hearts here, and then when I go and I cut it apart. So after I get my piece cut out here, I'm going to use my double stick adhesive tape. This gun I also got off of my Amazon shop, which is listed there in the tools if you want to take a peek at it. Love this double-sided adhesive tape. Like it's a glue runner. It's awesome. Now I'm pushing it around the edges here, and here I'm going to put one heart on one side. So this will be my pattern side. And then I'm pushing that down. And here's where I cut it. I cut it too big on this side. You see that? That's more space than what I left, but it still worked out okay. So, no worries. It is just kind of really close to the edge on one side. So I almost messed that, but all good. We had a whole nother rest of the paper. Apply some more adhesive on this one, and then this side I'm going to put on the pattern side so that the orange side is face up, and we're going to decorate the orange side. After I get that adhesive pushed down pretty good, the paper into the adhesive, I'm going to use these. These are fingernail files for acrylic nails. It's a pretty high grit nail file. I got a big pack on Amazon. I absolutely love them for this type of project. So this is just pulling away from you or down from the side of the piece, and that gives you a very good clean cut edge on any kind of paper or scrapbook or decoupaged item. And then you've got these cute little clean lines. Now for the solid one, I wanted to put a decoration on it, so I'm going to use my spiced pumpkin because I have to get the word pumpkin in there. And I'm going to use these little dotting tools. I don't know if I've used these before, and this is real time for a moment. I'll show you. I did go slow because I wanted to make sure I made polka dots. Now nothing is going to be perfect, and I've had to really concentrate on trying to make sure I know that this is not printed by a machine. This is made by hand, so it's not going to be perfect. And it's a sponge, so I'm going to have like a little bit of a little rough edge on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply polka dots, because what is a carrot if it doesn't have polka dots on it? I love those polka dot carrots. You ever had one? They're delicious. Anyways, I'm going to apply polka dots all around here. So I've got 2 sizes. You see the little green guy up there at the top? That's part of a little pack of all kinds of paint brushes and plastic scrapers, and then also regular sponge brushes. And these little dauber type circular sponges were in there with it. And if you see here, I'm going to go off on the edge so I can get like a little half circle on one side. And I'm just making sure I keep the sponge inked well enough, but not too wet. And then also I'm going straight up and down. That's the best way I can describe on how I tried to keep things at least, somewhat nice and tidy. But then you'll see. If you have if you're a stickler like me and you have an eye for these things, especially if you're super critical of your own work, such as I am, I'm going to point out every single thing that I did wrong here. But then when you sit back and look at it, I've admired other artists and other crafters and YouTubers' works, and I know that they're doing the same thing I'm doing, and they're just as worried about things not looking proper and perfect. But to me, their work looks great. And so I try to have an open mind when I get to these things. Now, again, I'm using tools in order to make circles on a fake carrot. So honestly, I think I'm taking it a little bit too far across the street, if you know what I mean. Now, after I do the 2 sizes with the little spongies, I'm going to go here and see this little tool. I don't know what this is called. I call it a dotting tool. I think it's a stylus. I'm not absolutely sure. This I got at Dollar Tree, but you can get them all over the place. There's some listed on my Amazon shop. But again, back in the day, in the 90s, we used to use these to put those little dot flowers on our fingernails back in the day. Now I'm just adding little dots to accent some of these. So I'm tucking them in places where I think I need them. And then I'm going to add 1 or 2 more. So I get like little 3 dots here, 3 dots there. And then I started here to go in a pattern where I've watched, again, over the course of my life, I have been a manicure person. I have had my nails done quite often. As you can see, I get my nails. You see my nails done here. I've watched my nail artists do these little things, and as you keep dotting, the natural progression of losing the paint on the tool, you get smaller dots. So it looks like a cute little, dot. And I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just dotting stuff. Some of the things I did have to go over because it wasn't, it was too opaque. It wasn't dark enough to begin with. Now, once I'm happy with my little dots, I am taking a old skewer and I'm just poking the hole back through the top. And then I decided to put little highlights on all my big pokey dots. And so I went and got a black Sharpie. And I thought, just go for it. Don't think about it. Don't try to be too perfect. Just add like maybe a little scooch and a dot. Now see that last one there? That was a little bit too straight. I wanted it to curve more with it, but I was trying not to think too hard about it. And then I went over it again with this little white paint marker. This is from Dollar Tree, and it's a good marker. It has a good amount of ink in it, or paint, or juice, or whatever. And as I was just kind of flicking just the flick of the wrist, but then it was a little bit too opaque also, so I did go over those just to darken and make them more of a solid thing. Some of them I did make a little bit bigger. You'll see here. Don't overthink it. If you're worried like I am, just so you know, if you're like that, you're not alone. I did that the entire time. I've been very hesitant to do more projects, but I also am trying to push myself to do things that I wouldn't normally want to do, because what is it if it's not fun without being outside your comfort zone, right? And I think it looks great. No one's really going to focus on those little tiny imperfections that you see, unless you point it out to everyone like I do. Now I'm taking the leftover paint in my little spongy here, and I'm going around the edges of my other patterned heart here because I wanted to put some more orange into it. And then I thought that I was done here, but then you're going to see me in a second. I go back at it even thicker so that it comes in further on the edges because I had thought about it. And I'm going to go at both of these around the edges with my Distress ink, and I'll show you in a second. But I went in further. So what I did was I'm dragging more of the sponge onto the paper instead of the edge per se. And that gives me more of a faded look. Remember, that's just what's left on that little spongy, so it's kind of drying out. It's perfect. Now I'm going to go back here. This is my Tim Holtz Distressed Archival ink. It's a good distressed ink distressing ink, but also for scrapbooking and those types of things. Now I got the set of stamps, also these little dauber guys here on Amazon, so you can take a peek at that too. Again, they're in the tools section on my Amazon store. And I'm going to darken the edges. Now, since this is an archival ink, it's permanent. It doesn't wipe off. Obviously, we're putting it on paper, so it's going to absorb quickly. But also, it dries fast and there's no smearing or smudging. I haven't put this on any medium yet that I've had a problem with. And I'm going for that dark shadowy edge just around the outside of the project because that gives me my cute little, that's how I'm getting my farmhouse in there. It's how I make my farmhouse heart happy. I mean, other than putting buffalo check on it, which, I mean, I kind of sort of do. I use green on this guy. So I kind of got a little bit of my farmhouse in there. And then of course I put jute on there. So that's how I did it. Now that guy, I like it. I'm happy with the little shadowing. And now I'm going to go around the edges of our orange carrot too here, our painted pattern carrot. And I wanted it to be a little bit darker. It wasn't darkening up enough for me. So I thought I'd have to go back in. So I went and got my other one, which is it's called Ground Espresso. So the first one was Vintage Photo, and that's usually my favorite go-to for distressing on edges of projects. But I went back for Ground Espresso. It is a very deeper, darker brown. And this one actually made me happy. This one is what I was looking for. I wanted it to be a little bit darker of an edge on this guy. The other one I'm perfectly fine with. I don't believe that I even... this one was just what I did. So we're going to put little toppers on these. So for the first one, I'm going to go with this green gingham that I got at Dollar Tree. And now this is what's left on one spool. And you're only going to see me. I'm only going to pull a small piece off of the other. So I'm going to feed our ribbon through the holes on this guy here. So I'm using the same little half end piece that I cut off of a skewer, and I'm using that as my little tool here. I'm going to poke both of those through there, and I'm going to basically use it like I'm going to tie a hanger to it, but we're going to make this the topper. So this is going to count as our greenery on the top of our carrot. Now these are cute little tabletop pieces. So, I mean, if you want to put a hanger in here, this would be the time to do that. If you have the same supplies and you want to do something similar for these little Dollar Tree hearts to turn them into carrots, you would put the hanger in now if you want to, or you could just staple it to the back, I guess. But what I'm doing is I'm just going to create the greenery. So after I get them looped through, yes, there's still a loop there, but we're going to cut that later because we're going to put dovetails on all of it. I did tie the knot, but then I tied it a little bit too tight. So what I want to do is go back, and I'm going to add a little bit more here. So I cut another piece of ribbon, and I'm just going to filter that through where I knotted it. I'm going to tack it down with some glue. because once we tie this knot, I want it to be permanent. So I'm gluing the ribbon to itself as I knot the first set of ribbon that I put through the hole, as I knot that on top. Now as I'm going through it, I'm going to then take these goodies here and I'm going to start dovetailing at different lengths. Now I cut the loop, so I have some really long, streamers here. And then I started to just pinch it in half and then cut diagonally from the folded edge upwards. And that gives us a perfect little dovetail. And I did different lengths just to whatever made me happy, honestly. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just like, okay, just cut this one here and this here. And if you see at the top, I do have a decent amount of little tails left over. And I didn't want to waste them. And I'm like, what am I going to do with these little pieces? I have a junk bucket. I also have a ribbon junk bucket, but I didn't want to just put all this stuff in there. So I'm like, I want to try to reabsorb it into the same project. So can I put this back into my project somehow? So what I did was, after I cut all these little pieces off, I have these little guys here. I was like, let me just kind of bundle them at the bottom. I will wrap it with a rubber band. These are little tiny orange rubber bands that I have, and I have no clue where I got them or why they're so small. Or why they're orange for that matter, but who knows. I think I got them on clearance somewhere, and they're meant for like some sort of kids crafting, but they're perfect little rubber bands. So you see there, I tied them all together. And I'm going to glue this right down into the center here. So we're just going to add to it. So I'm going to put a decent amount of glue here. Now, this is not, the edges were not stained with wax. So since it's a wood tint, you can glue to it, you can adhere to it, you can put transfers on it. If you were to use a wax, you'd have a lot more of a problem trying to get a good, secure hold on glue on that. So I have a piece of jute that I cut off of my really big spool of jute. If you've been with me for any kind of time, I have like the world's tiniest spool of jute. It's like 3,600 square feet of jute twine. And I cut a piece off of it. I used some far on the lighter to get the fuzzies off. And I'm just going to wrap this around the top, kind of like I'm just bundling up all of my little greenery together. So this is also going to help hold. Now you can stick your glue, the tip of your glue gun down in there, get some more glue on it to secure that closely to all of your goodies. But I think I did that, but I don't know if I did that off camera or not. And then here I'm just cutting the edges and then gluing them to themselves on the back. And then there was some wrapping and unwrapping because I wanted to try to get a somewhat neater little wrap around it so it wasn't crazy lumpy or anything. But some of the imperfections is where the beauty lies. So just remember that if you want things to be all perfect and uniform, then go for it. I try not to, only because it's easier, but also because it just makes it cute in my eyes. That's my personal preference. I like imperfections. And now once I got that all wrapped around, I'm going to do a finger bow. And I have a separate tutorial linked in my description below that slows it down to show you step by step. I need to make a new one. Yes, I've been promising that for a while. I'm very sorry. But yes, this particular bow tutorial is only 5 minutes long, but you can take a peek at it, and practice makes perfect. I've been practicing these for years, and then it's so easy to start out. I would suggest starting out with jute or some sort of baker's twine that's a little bit thicker. It's very easy to try that first instead of actual ribbon, which I will need to put in my video when I remake it. Now then I tacked this guy down. Of course, I believe I burnt the fuzzies off of this too, again, off camera. I'm not absolutely sure, but I normally burn fuzzies off of jute twines and sisal cording sometimes, unless it's too crazy. And then I like the messy look. But then I just kind of secure that to the base of where we wrapped everything. And we got a cute little bundle of ribbon coming out. Doesn't that look like a carrot? She's so cute. Now, our second guy here, I'm going to go with this lighter, like celery-y looking, I believe that was burlap. I got that, I think, at Joann's many, many moons ago, many years. So it's the first time I've used it. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to take the loop part here, and I'm going to feed that through the hole. Again, I'm using a piece of a floral pick stem that I cut off. Keep things. They're all good tools. Also, you can use this to stir glue, and then you can just chuck it. Or if you have like some goopies or lumpies in your paint, sometimes acrylic paint gets, paint boogers, for lack of a better term. Sorry. Your acrylic paint sits too long, you get those like weird, nasty little chunks in it. Yeah, I use extra pieces that I cut off of other branches and stems and stuff like that. They're just really good tools. Now, as I talk through most of that, my apologies, you're going to bundle up just a lot more of it. This is not as thick. Obviously, it's not ribbon. It's a jute twine. So the last one we had ribbon, we didn't need as much. On this one, we're going to need a little bit more. So I just bundled it up probably maybe 6 or 7 or 8 times in my hands for a length I felt was right. Now, we're also going to trim it too, so you don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to do the same as I did, tie the larger pieces down into the middle, and then tie some knots around the edges on the top and the front. I'm going to take another piece of the twine and I'm going to tie it around the base of things here. And this is what we're going to do that we did with the jute on the previous carrot around the green ribbon. We wrapped the jute around it. Well, we're going to use the same twine here and we're going to wrap this and bundle this at the base as well. It also helps to keep things so that it stands up more, because I wanted the greenery portion, what's, you know, the faux greenery. I'm doing air quotes like you guys can see me. The faux greenery. I'm going to wrap it in a tight enough around the base so that kind of helps it stand up more. So it kind of looks like, you know, the greenery that pops up out of a carrot when you're looking at it in the ground. Just makes me happy. It's as close as the story I was telling myself as I was making these. It was like, yes, this is real. This is a real carrot, and it's absolutely adorable. But it's for decoration. You can't eat it. Don't try to. Disclaimer, please do not put projects in your mouth. Just saying. Now, using my little tool here, once again, grab whatever you have on hand. You could use also some silicone little sponges and stuff. And then here I burn the fuzzies off after I put everything together, apparently. I guess at the beginning I thought maybe I didn't have to. And then here I'm cutting all of my loops because I did bundle the larger piece that I put in the middle. I bundled that in my hands and I did not cut those loops as I was going. I'm cutting them now. This is also the time where you're going to pick how long you want them if you like kind of like the crazy little fuzzy look. I liked this as it was. I think I only cut maybe this off. That's it. Yeah, I only trimmed the one piece off and that was it. And look how cute they are. That's it. Now, could go a lot faster for you if you don't jibber jabber through it like I did. Or if you pick a different medium, or sometimes you could use yarn, you could use other things for the top of it. But I love how these girls turned out. Now they're shelf sitters for me. I'm not hanging them up. I would display them as a shelf sitter or a tier tray decor, or even just table scatter. You could put this in a centerpiece or on a Lazy Susan somewhere for the holidays or for the summertime. Because again, this isn't just for Easter. Your carrots can be used all summer long. If you have like a veggie theme going on in your kitchen or your dining room, I think these would look cute pretty much more than just for Easter. But you tell me your thoughts. I think these girls are so cute. Now for this one, I'm going to use these 2 styrofoam balls. Now these are leftover. I believe they're from Dollar Tree, but they're 2.4 inch diameter styrofoam balls. And we're going to cut we're not cutting them in half, but we're going to cut maybe just a quarter off of the end of each one. And the best way to try to get them even is to kind of line it up like that. Yeah, that's professional. That's how you do this part. And so anyways, try to get them as even as you can. We can still hide it if they're not, because we're going to nestle this down into some Spanish moss. Now here you have more, you got a little bit more than half the tops of a carrot is what we're going to do. We're making the top of a carrot. So I'm poking a hole into what I'm guessing is the center. Remember, this is all going to be a beautiful mess of all things we add together. So it doesn't necessarily have to be even, but you try your best. So I basically got my orange yarn out. Now I used this same yarn in the previous project 2 videos ago on the blue tag with the half carrot on it. And I tied a knot, glued that in. So now we're going to just twist this and cover this styrofoam, kind of like you've seen me do with pumpkins. If you've been here, you've seen me wrap pumpkins in many things. If you wrap anything in any kind of twine or yarn or string, it's the same premise. We're just basically starting at the top of a dome or circle, and we're going to keep wrapping it around itself. Once you get that first little circle started, it becomes much, much easier to then continue going, because then the yarn will get stuck on itself. And if you're worried, don't worry about anything showing in the middle. There is some white styrofoam sticking out there where you can see the knot. That's where we're going to put in our greenery, so you can see the greenery poking out the top of our carrot. So that is also going to be hidden, or it will be more easily hidden or covered up. So remember, not everything has to be 100% perfect, aligned, uniform. You know, nothing's identical other than butterfly wings, right? But at this point, then you'll see me kind of hurry this up. I sped this up a few times. So you see me just add the glue, add the glue, add the glue. And at some point, you can keep wrapping if you're secure that you know it's not going to come apart. But for this, I kind of just did a little bit here. The yarn starts to get caught on itself because of the pressure you're putting on it. And then just keep twisting. Just keep twisting and twisting and twisting. Twisting the night away. Yeah. That is not a song reference. I will not be demonetized. I'm sorry. It is a copyrighted song, more than likely. And again, at this point, it became easier, and I'm just twisting it with my hands. Now, does this look familiar to anyone? This is a recycled thingy that I got from another thingy. I bought some sort of electronical thingy or appliance thingy. And these two thingies were on the ends of the thingy in the middle. So I think it was a toaster. So thing I bought goes in the middle, and these are your end pieces. And when I took them out and I saw them, I'm like, this looks like kind of like a gardening, like one of those biodegradable, like peat pots almost, but not a pot. It kind of looked like something you'd see, like a little basket of strawberries. It just looked cute to me. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking some, this is just extra throwaway chalk paint that I've had forever. I'm just using a chippy brush, and I'm doing a very sloppy coat of white paint all around it. I want some of the brown to show. I like the fact that the cardboard portion of this, it's shaped to whatever, electronic item came in it, but I like that there's pieces of it on the bottom that looks like feet, and then it's kind of wrinkly a little bit. It just lends to like, I am biodegradable. Let me know if any of this makes sense, because a lot of times it's just like, wow, the neurons are firing. Now, I've got the paint dry. I'm moving on to dark wax. Now, this is my favorite dark wax. I get my DIY products from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. There's a link in my description and in the pinned comment below. You can get dark wax. I use dark white and clear wax so far. There is a black wax that I've never used, but the dark wax, again, I did not use any new wax. This is just what was already loaded in my wax brush. That's my brush I use specifically for dark wax. And I don't think I've done a project with this for at least 2 days. So it didn't dry out 100%, but I was able to put just enough on the project that it made it perfect in my eyes. Now, this is a piece of styrofoam that nobody should ever save, but because I'm weird, I saved the styrofoam knowing how big of a mess it's going to make. It fit perfectly in the little, cardboard cup thingy there, because, it had to. And then here is me proceeding to make a huge mess. I do this every time, knowing how bad the mess is going to be, and that my eye will start twitching, and then I'll start freaking out. See my hand? I was like, my hand is covered in styrofoam. It was all over my face. It was on my dogs. It was everywhere. But anyways, clean all that up. And now we're going to apply hot glue at the bottom. Now I've got a couple little dips in there. So I put the hot glue in the bottom of our little storage thingy here. And then I put the styrofoam on top of it. And that's all you wrote for that portion of it. Now we're going to fill in the edges with our Spanish moss. I would have chosen, I think I didn't go with the chartreuse, the bright green moss that I have, because I'm going to put greenery on the top of those little domes we made. Basically are the tops of carrots. If you're guessing here now, this is going to look like I have a little garden box with 2 carrots growing out of it. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you the big joke is that I think my carrots are way too big for the box I have them in. Because if you see a carrot, it's like, why is the carrot top so huge and the box is so shallow? There's no way that carrot is full size unless it's like a dwarf carrot or something. It's like got the biggest head and then tiny little feet. I don't know. It's just, it's funny to me. I think it's cute no matter what. But anyways, it's, hindsight's 50-50. Now I'm turning my little carrot domes into picks here. So I took a piece of a floral stem that I had used. I cut it in half. So basically I keep these also for just this exact reason. I'm turning things into picks. There's a good thick wire inside most of those floral stems that we get. So remember, after you cut your flowers off, if it's a good decent sized stick, then save them. They're easy to store if you cut them in pieces and you leave them somewhere else. Now, I made both of my little domes here into picks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them down into the styrofoam that we put inside of our container. Here's where I kind of wanted it to be a little even, but this is where it kind of doesn't matter. So if you're not able to cut your circles or your styrofoam balls evenly, you can then use this to your advantage as far as how you tuck the Spanish moss around your edges. Now, I just put these in, so I'm going to put glue right around the bottom of those picks, those green stems that we stuck in the bottom of the styrofoam. And then for this one, same thing. I'm putting it closer to the hole to get it to stick to the styrofoam, not the actual Spanish moss. And then here I'm going to fill in the rest of all of our sides and pieces with more Spanish moss. And then lots of tucking and messing and fussing and fluffing and moving things around, because that's just who I am. If there was a bow on here, you guys would be here for 20 more minutes. I'm kidding. I try to cut most of that stuff out. But that's basically our base and our premise. Now we're moving on. I have this pick here I've had for many years. I think I got this at Joann's so long ago. But this is like the perfect greenery, in my opinion. Closest to a real carrot that I could find. I cut them off into their little pieces and stems, and then I cut those stems even shorter, and I'm tucking them into the holes that we made that we also used to put the knotted, where we started the yarn at, where we started wrapping with yarn. So there's a knotted piece of yarn. And then also the stems are going in here. So what I did to avoid having too much glue and the glue drying too quickly is I started to tuck all of these stems in together. So I'm making sure that it's all biting into the styrofoam, or at least it has contact with some styrofoam, and then also the yarn. And then I'm taking all of these little pieces here and there and I'm tucking them all together. Now I do cut off some pieces just so I can get some of that wire to show, but then I also will tuck it into the project in a moment. You'll see here. Now, if I don't show it, I'm not absolutely sure or not. I start to glue these little tiny pieces to the top. There is times where you can put the tip of your glue gun down into the project. Look how cute that is. It's so cute. And then here's where I'm adding glue. So I'm gluing in those pieces. They won't come out. They don't come out today. You could pick the project up by the greenery. Don't ever do that, but I did just to make sure. And then here I'm tucking in all these little extra pieces that I cut off just around the base. So it looks fuller and it's nicer. And then if any of that white styrofoam is peeking out, this would be how I would cover it. And this is how I would suggest that you would cover it if you have a lot more showing. And I didn't have much showing at that point. And then of course, add some more glue here and there. Just make sure you got all your little bases covered so everything's glued in. Look how cute it is. I thought, should I put bows on it? Should I not put a bow on it? Kind of trimmed up some of the Spanish moss there on the sides. But wait, we're not done. I thought we were done. We're not done. Now, that's cute as it is. You could stop here. But for some reason, I felt the need. See, my thing is, it's like, where's the rest of the carrot at? That's a big top. Now, I felt the need to add handles. So I got this burlap rope on my Amazon shop. It's still listed there. It's a good thick rope. It is a decent rope. I've used it for a while. Now, the first handle here I already made. I did not actually have my hands in the field of view for my camera, so my apologies. So I'm just showing you that I glued on the first one here. I put 2 knots in it, and then I cut the edges off the knots, and I'm gluing the knots to the edge of our actual container. Now for the second one, I have most of it. I put my hands, finally figured out to look at my camera, Whitney, and my hands are actually in frame. So I'm going to show you here once I do the second one. Now if you can get the premise there, we're gluing the knots to the container so it looks like the handle is through there. Now here's where I wanted to stick with 6 inches, so I take the raw end of a piece of the burlap rope, I tied a knot, then I cut the edge off of it. Then I went back to my measuring tape or my measuring mat here, and I made sure I knew where 6 inches was on my mat and that I didn't put the knot anywhere above that so that at least the handles are as uniform as I could possibly get them. So here I at least have 6 inches. And then I cut the extra off of the end so your knots are flat. They won't come undone because we are putting hot glue on them, and that's what we're basically using to attach it to our container. So you won't have to worry about it unraveling. And then after holding it while it's solidified and cooled off, then you got cute little handles and you can use them. Check it out. It's obviously a very light project. It's all for decoration. You're not actually meant to use this for anything other than your eyes. It's meant to make it, set it on the table and look upon it to make you smile. That is its purpose in life. Look how cute it is. Now, do you know what I mean by saying, like, look how big the tops of these carrots are? You would expect that if you could see through that the rest of the carrot, you're looking at maybe a 6 or 7 inch carrot. There's no way that I'm saying, like, in there, that has to be like the little tiniest itty bitty carrot if it comes to a point at the end of or at the bottom of the container. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I love it. I think it's cute. If anything, the humor in it makes it even cuter. Tell me your thoughts, though. You ever do anything like that and you just like completely like, yeah, I don't know what I did, but it's cute. Whatever. I love it. Now this guy here, guys, sorry. Ran a little long on that. This little fishy, as you can see, it's a fishy from Dollar Tree. I got that their nautical section. How long ago did I do that? The nautical stuff. This probably maybe year before last. I'm not sure. If you know, I bought some of these things because I was making like some, a fishy wreath for my sister. A cat themed thing here or there. I buy the fish stuff for cat themed things. And so what I did was I'm going to turn this into a carrot. So I'm cutting the tail off. I did some measuring. It didn't work out. Did a lot of erasing with the pencil. But in any event, I'm just cutting the ends of the tail off so it can come to a point. Now, I did have to sand this on either side. It's not a perfect little point, but I didn't feel the need to record myself sanding it to make it, a more even point. And then I cut the very top off so that I have a flat edge, but you don't really have to do this. You could leave this part out. It's just I wanted the back of it to look a specific way. I didn't want it to be this way, but you could also leave more on there if you want more meat and potatoes to the back of it. But in any event, since I cut the top off, I now have to add a hole to it. Now I got this cute little tool, brand new from Amazon, and it's called a vice something. I was right there on the dang page and I talked right through it. Now, this is a really good tool, and this part here twists. It doesn't come undone, it twists. You put that in the palm of your hand like this. And then you're going to place these little, this is the biggest drill bit that it comes with. So it's basically going to drill a hole through it for me. Now this is a softer wood. Who knows if it's actually wood? It's probably compressed cardboard and water and glue. Who knows what it's made out of? It's particle board. But again, you're going to take your project. I used it one other time before this, had no problems. Same thing. So I'm just basically twisting and twisting and twisting. And then it'll pop through the back. Now, if you see how thick that is, it's a pretty decent size or decent thickness. And it took it on just fine. Again, it wasn't solid wood. I haven't used it on solid wood yet. I did use it on a plastic piece, and it went through just fine. The drills, those little drill bits there, or are they called drill bits? The bits, that part right there. I think it's a drill bit. Sorry, guys, words aren't coming to me today. Anywho, it went through pretty easily, so I'm making, that's a hole because this is going to be a hanging piece. And now I'm taking that same spiced pumpkin orange that we used on the first projects for the polka dots on our carrots, and I'm going to cover this in the same color. Now the blue side there took a couple more coats than the other two because obviously the middle stripe is white. So whatever it takes to cover it and whatever color you want to make it. I did choose orange. I wanted to go with a classic orange look for this particular theme, and I did more than a few coats, probably 3. And now I'm going to take this fall, it's like a mini fall pattern stencil from Essential Stencil. But I want to go for this plaidish, this little stripy patterny look. And then I'm going to go with the Ground Espresso ink. It's a darker ink. Remember we used that around the edges of our first project? And then these little fuzzy guys here, don't ask me why I rubbed that on the back of my hand. It just was soft and fuzzy and I liked it. I liked it, so I rubbed it on my hand. You know, ever do weird stuff? Like you just, anyways, we're going to move on before I really, put out there how really odd I am. Now, I'm tapping this little brush here. These are very good brushes to use. A lot of people use them in like journaling or scrapbooking, and they have come in handy for so many projects that I love, along with those little finger daubers too. Now, I'm using this on top of the stencil because this works better for a stencil. Check that out. I haven't used paint on a stencil since I got these fuzzy little brushes and the daubers too. All of this is listed in my Amazon shop under tools if you want to take a peek at them. I think I got 20 of them in the first round, and their handles are all different colors. You can get caps and lids for them too, but it's just ink. It doesn't dry hard or anything. Now, after I did the top part, because the stencil wasn't long enough, then I had to figure out and line this up just so I could get the tip of the carrot there to match the rest of the pattern. That was a real fast, easy fix. That way it looks uniform. It looks like one solid pattern. And then look how cute it is. Now, I did do the edges with this same brush, but I wasn't getting the shading that I wanted. So I went back to the little finger dauber thingies and I put that on there so that I could have that. So I went and got those back out because that, for me, is giving me a darker, more shaded edge that I wanted. So that's where we took that one. So I got that edge around the outside and then also on that. And you see here, I'm immediately wiping it because it's the distressed ink. It comes right off. Then I was like, okay, let me see if I can shade the rest of it. It didn't really do much. But then also, if you're worried about it, this ink still came off of my stencil. I was expecting it to be more permanent and that it would stain the stencil. Now, I don't know if that's to the tribute of Essential Stencils, but this was just a baby wipe and it pretty much came all off. And that's how I do all my stencils. I prefer to keep them as clean as possible because the next project you have, if you've got paint all over it, it could still transfer over. Now we're going to do the tops. The tops, this is the same greenery that we used just now on the previous project for the 2 carrots that were sticking out of our little container we made. But first, before we put the greenery on, I want to use the white wax on this one. So again, this is the same as the dark wax, but this is the white wax, and I really went heavy-handed on it. So I really gave it a good coat so it will absorb it. It was acrylic paint, so yes, acrylic paint has a sealer in it. We don't nearly have to seal it, but the ink also doesn't need to be sealed. I just wanted it to have a good dusty look. I wanted it to have, the wax will dry in those creases where you leave it. And it takes some time to dry and actually cure, but once it does, that wax won't come off, and you will see those white streaks in it. It will stay that way. Also, it gave it a really good dusty farmhouse look, which also makes my heart happy, makes my little farmhouse heart happy. And now this one, the hole that I made, it's the biggest drill bit that comes with that little hand vise thing there. Basically big enough just to put the jute through. So I just tied a knot. I just put a piece of jute through, and then I tied a square knot. And sorry if you guys can hear goody stuff going in the backyard. I gave my boys, I got 2 puppy boys, and then my old girl here, she's still sleeping. That's Zoe, if you guys are familiar with Zoe. But Henry and Cosmo love to bark when I am recording. So I gave them some bones, and they are chewing on their, I think it's not real rawhide. It's like a knot hide. I don't know what it is. It's not hot rawhide. But anyways, I gave them that, so they're just gnawing away in the corner. So if you're hearing that weirdness this whole time, those are the puppies. Those are the boys. Now, I tied a square knot. I put the knot back to the base of my actual piece, and then here I'm going to use my staple gun and along with glue. So I'm taking a lot of those little pieces of the same greenery we used previously, and I'm cutting the stems, and I'm just going to bundle them together and put them on with a staple gun. And then I'm going to put a copious amount of glue across the whole top. Obviously that's to hold down the greenery as well, but I'm also going to use it while it's still hot to put on some of the Spanish moss. Now this is the chartreuse color that I love, and I haven't been able to find that locally, so I do get that one off of Amazon. It's a little bit pricier, but we're not talking about break the bank pricey, all right? It's also more moist. It's wetter. It's not as dry as the stuff I get in the stores here. Now again, that may be a product of me living in the desert and everything here is all dried out. But when this arrived, it had condensation in the bag, so it's not 100% dried out yet. But it's really great color. Here I'm doing another finger bow out of jute. Again, I still have that link, so you can take a peek at the tutorial separately for the finger bow. And then I made that one out of jute. I burnt the fuzzies off of it, and then I'm just attaching it right down into the middle of the Spanish moss here. So I put it down just to test it out to see how I liked it. I cut the tails off, and then I'm just using a dot of glue right on the back of that knot section there. And we're going to tap that right down in. Push it down in, squish it down in hard, make sure it makes contact with the carrot, not just the Spanish moss. The Spanish moss is not 100% secure in all places. Now, I had this already made. It's the same thing. It's a finger bow made, but this time with the baker's twine. That little bundle you saw me holding, that little spool, I got that at Dollar Tree. And I love this like natural jute and white colored baker's twine. I may have made that on a previous video and then just put it to the side to use it because I already had it made for a separate project but we didn't use it. So I just layered it on top. And I like how the tails are a little bit longer, and I loved it. I just left it the way it was. So now we have a little hanging piece here. And it's a lightweight piece. You could put this on a door handle or hang this off of, like if you have cabinet handles in the kitchen, or even just, again, you could still lean it up against the wall as I've done here and use it in a shelf setting, set it on its side, prop it up somehow, use it as a table decor or a tier tray piece. But in any event, there's a hanger on there too, so you can hang it up, and it's super cute. You can even use it as a decoration in a wreath as well. So you could make this and then put this in a wreath just temporarily for the holiday or for the season. And there it is hanging on the wall. That's basically just, I stuck a nail in the wall. I mean, it's cute. It's cute no matter what. And that's it for this video. These are the last three that I had that I just, as you can see here, this video is what, like 38 minutes long, almost 40 minutes. It's like, there's no way I could have put all of them in one video. I had some computer issues. I had to wait for a processor. I let you guys know through my YouTube comments in the community tab. Thank you guys for messaging me and responding so well. You guys are my fuel. I love you so much. And in any event, I believe I have one more. If I can squeeze one more springy Easter in, I will. But I will be recording and getting the videos out regularly again. My PC problems are over so far, knock on wood. Hopefully you didn't hear me say that. Now, I have a Ko-fi page. I've been listing my DIYs for sale there, but if you like my videos or feel like you've learned something, you can drop a donation there. Every little bit helps me maintain my channel. Never required, always appreciated. And that's about it for this one, guys. So with all that being said, I love you more than I could possibly say in words. Thank you very much. You are my fuel more than you know. And with all that, happy crafting, many hugs, happy crafting. See you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.